and Gina is going to share with us their performance-driven approach to gaining RoAS. Come on, Gina. Everyone give Gina one. Yes. Do you want to walk or do you want to stand at the podium?
Probably gonna walk.
Do you want this?
Oh, sure. Hey, everybody. I feel like the way that you all structured the content is teeing this up very nicely for me. So I think what I have to share hopefully will pay off on a lot of what you've already heard today. As Lisa said, Gina Whelehan, I am the video channel director at Butler Till. I have to say this because we're super proud of it. We are an independent women and employee-owned agency out of Rochester, New York. Yes, thank you. So today I'm going to talk to you about a case study. It is pharma-based, and it is really focused on marrying proven performance, but with a test mentality in order to continue to grow and expand on the impact of video efforts. I'm not sure which one. Green? All right. So in 2019, we pitched addressable TV to one of our pharma brands. That brand specifically hadn't yet ventured into the linear space, nor had they established a holistic video strategy. So this was really a critical moment and opportunity for them. We had been managing and still do today all of their digital efforts, and we knew that there was definitely opportunity to unlock incremental gains with television. The right opportunity just hadn't come around. So in 2019, we pitched addressable TV. The targeting approach was really rooted in finding areas with a high propensity of the condition where we would target individuals. Every single dollar had to be measured, and it had to prove out both audience quality, which was measured based on the specific condition, and it also had to prove out if it had positive impact on script lift. And because we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't get them to think about holistic video opportunities, we also convinced them that they should put at least a little bit of a test budget within the connected TV space because we truly believe that it would boost their linear efforts and also future-proof what the future could look like. A few things to just highlight. We have Medix up here. That is the partner that we leveraged as we launched. They're great from a healthcare perspective, and they have this proprietary approach, if you will, to targeting while maintaining HIPAA compliance, because addressable TV is great because it is one-to-one, but within the pharma landscape, you cannot target one-to-one. And then IQVIA is a third-party measurement partner that we leveraged in order to effectively measure audience quality and also the impact on script. So, out the gate, the pilot proved its place in the mix, and it also showed us that there was definitely scalable potential. 45% of those that we reached with television were actually qualified. And I want to just put this into some perspective. So the condition that I'm specifically talking about only impacts roughly 4% of the entire population. The broader condition that this one ladders up to is only 14%. So when you think about the fact that we went into market with a linear campaign and we're able to achieve 45% of qualified reach, it's really, really significant and definitely helped us to establish that linear had a place and a purpose in the mix. We found that there was only 1% overlap between our audiences that we reached in linear and those that we reached on CTV. This further solidified the fact that we needed to have both. 64% of the NRX, and I'll try my best to walk through all the acronyms. NRX means new to script. 64% of the NRX lift was supported by TV. TV was the strongest contributing channel of their overall mix in that script lift success that we saw. And last, but certainly not least, we had a positive return on ad spend, which is really what we needed. So 2.1 times return on ad spend, which then again solidified the fact that TV and CTV and a holistic video strategy really had its place in their mix. And like all of us, COVID then hit. So as we were trying to prep for 2020, the pandemic got us. I know Jill had mentioned this yesterday, but I think we probably all experienced it. We all had to be super mindful about the creative that was in market. For our brand specifically, and for many pharma brands out there, you all are probably pretty familiar with, it's typically showcasing a patient or somebody who's suffering with something, living their lives, right? And living their quote-unquote normal lives while treating a condition and living with it. the actress in our commercial specifically, she was out and about, she was going on dates, she was traveling, she was having like a great experience in life, but at the time that just isn't what the culture was, right? We were going through COVID, we were all struggling, we were all stuck at home. So we had to be mindful of that. The other thing is that the client just didn't know what impact the pandemic was going to have on their business. And so to invest in a pilot, while yes, it was successful, to re-up that or potentially increase that, it wasn't the right time. So we had to pump the brakes. But the good news is as we rolled around to start planning for 2021, we had our learnings from 2019, and then we also had the impact on media consumption from the pandemic, and we can use both of those to further determine what the appropriate approach was going into the new year. There were 4 key insights that we drew optimizations off of and that we actioned against that I want to share with you all. So number 1, audience quality. We had to prioritize the target segments. So in our efforts for 2019, we deployed multiple targeting strategies, right? Some performed better than others, and so we really doubled down on the ones that did well. But to further drive that, we kind of tore apart those successful segments and then we built them back up. I know there's a few pharma people out there. The makeup of a segment is really complex because it just comes with a whole lot of health data, and you can really get very customized. So it was important that we really looked at those well-performing segments and then further drove a better segment that would really narrow in on the audience we wanted. Next was uncovering more conversions, so we needed a higher average frequency. I know, spoiler alert for everybody, frequency drives impact. But what we found is we needed a higher level of impressions that were going to be delivered right to this new segment that we were going to be focused on, but we needed to be in market longer. This was a test. It was a relatively short test, so we knew that we needed to build that frequency, and we knew that we needed to be in market a bit longer. So we upped our frequency goals, and we expanded our flighting. Next up, increased qualified reach. So along with looking at the performance of our targeting segments, we also had to look at the performance of our partners. So we refined that partner selection mix across all channels that we were running video on, including addressable, connected, and also our digital partners. We went from 8 inventory sources to 4. And last, certainly not least, was time to conversion. I know we all have different times in which it takes somebody to actually convert. For pharma, it can be very long, depending on the product you're representing. We needed to reset what that measurement look-forward window was. So during the pilot, we were giving people 3 months to convert to brand. From the holistic efforts that we had in place and that we had measured, we learned that really takes about 6 months. And so we needed to make sure TV and CTV were getting the credit that they should, and so we had to open up that look-forward window. Downside to that, as everybody probably can imagine, is that it takes even longer to get results, which isn't always the best. So went into market with all of these optimizations and got really, really great results. So our efforts from 2021, again, it really showed that we had significant gains, which really made for a promising future. 43% growth in our addressable return on ad spend year over year. One of the things we were super excited about was the fact that connected TV had almost a 5 times RoAS. I will tell you, in the previous year, it was below 2. So significant gains happened in that space, and this all was happening at a time when the client was still trying to get on board with connected TV and its place in their mix. So us being able to deliver this news was really incredible. Just like a little bonus stat, I didn't touch on it necessarily in the strategy, in the optimizations above, but because it came after the fact. But as CTV really started to gain momentum and start performing, we actually got an incremental budget to fund HCP business. Everything I've talked to you so far has been DTC. We also manage healthcare professional business, which is what HCP stands for. So we decided to put some money against OTT for HCP, and the returns on it were significant. So we were really happy to see that we can also leverage OTT for that professional side of the business we were supporting. And last but not least, just a publisher call out. Hulu, is, everybody knows, is a premium partner, comes with a cost. But we were really happy to see that their return on ad spend was actually twice as it was, twice that of what the overall DTC CTV performance was. So it really helped us solidify, like, yes, they cost more, but they were delivering really positive return. So then we took those learnings and started a plan for 2022. So from 2019 to 2021, it was really about deploying a pilot, learning what we could do to optimize that pilot. Now we were at a point where it was proven that video had its place in their mix. Now we needed to scale it. And we wanted to unlock additional opportunity, so we needed to start taking some calculated risks. This client, and it's the whole reason why the case study is named what it is, everything we do for them has to be proven, and it has to be proven before we can run it. So as you can imagine, it's a little bit difficult to do that. So there were a few things that we figured out how to work through in order to effectively scale and also take those calculated risks. So to really start doing testing and learning. Leverage learnings that we had from other brands. So we represent a bunch of different pharma brands, different categories. We were seeing successes with audience quality and our RoAS for those. And so our way to convince this client that this was what they should be doing is we leveraged the learnings that we had from there and the successes that we had from there, which enabled us to test different media and data partners. But again, have that really strong backing as to why we thought it would be successful for them as well. Unlocking conversion, so greater focus on CTV. Previous stats showed, right, that CTV was obviously showing tremendous returns, and we needed to make a point to invest there. So we had to pivot our budgets from more for better performing tactics. So we had about a 40% budget increase invested in CTV for the coming year. Tap reach and frequency. Up until this point, we weren't doing anything from like leveraging a linear exposure perspective. I know Tremor was up here talking earlier about that. We definitely think it's one of the great targeting strategies to deploy when you are running a linear campaign in anything from a streaming or digital perspective. And we needed to build, again, we didn't want to forego reach to gain frequency, and we still needed to build on the frequency. So we used the linear exposure to either suppress those exposed or to retarget those exposed. So that was just an added targeting strategy that we layered into the mix. And then last but not least, we had to address industry trends. So we had to recalibrate the video mix. The 2022 video mix and the budget allocations, we had to look at consumption habits, right? There were just depleting households within the pay TV environment, and the cost was increasing. And as you can imagine, those two things could have a significant impact on RoAS year over year. We are still very early in getting results from 2022, so I'll be sharing with you what I can. So far from a connected TV perspective, we've achieved a 2.5 audience index. Just a call out, right, it's 155% above the national prevalence. We've unlocked tremendous incremental patient exposure. So with the addition of different CTV partners and some slight changes in our budget allocation, very, very quickly, we were able to pay off on exactly what we said we needed to do, which was to build scale. And last but not least, I should say too, most of this is through June. The data is through June. Again, there's a lag for everything measured in pharma. We've already gained $3 million in incremental to invest in the video space. So really promising stuff. And just to highlight from 2023 perspective, right, because we're all in the midst of planning, we have a lot of different ideas about how we might be able to approach linear differently, and some things we could potentially unlock in the CTV space. So just a call out to that we do think some of those ideas we have are going to require a little bit of a leap of faith, but again, we're going to lean on some of the past performance from some of our other brands and hopefully gain some confidence from the client that we can test out some of these other options. That's what I got.
Great. Thank you, Gina. Any questions from the audience? Oh, is that? Did you raise your hand? Okay. You had a question? Okay.
Hi, great presentation. Thank you. Jim D'Antoni from Dish Media. In terms of video, your data partner, who you were working with which partner?
From a targeting perspective?
Yeah.
So medics themselves, they have their own targeting capabilities, so we leverage that, and that's, they have micro neighborhoods, so we've leveraged that. For some of the changes that we've tested, we have used Swoop, we've tried IQVIA, we've tried Crossix. For anybody who doesn't know, you might know Swoop, I know that's more, they have a wide coverage. IQVIA and Crossix is very much pharma focused. So those are some of the priority ones that we've tested. Those are definitely ones that we use a lot across our full portfolio that we've seen strong performance.
Great, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Sorry, I just like having a mic. That's why I keep asking questions. Question: you had the 6-month attribution window for the conversion. Were you able to connect back business results to the optimization levers that you're doing over the course of those 6 months, or because it's such a long window, right? And I know you're just also titrating your buys real time all the time to get the audience reach and all those components.
No, I mean, unfortunately, it's typically we get the post 6-month readout, and at that point, we can leverage those learnings to make changes moving forward. The digital side, we can get a little bit more quickly, and so sometimes we'll take some of those learnings to figure out if we need to optimize anything from a video perspective. But most of the time, we're waiting for those data points to come out. And I will say, there's a slew of measurement that we do, and there's omni-channel, but then we also measure just in a silo for our video efforts. We do try to lean on things like omni-channel because we get that readout sooner. You could get quicker readouts if you wanted to, but as you can imagine, third-party measurement starts to really add up from an expense perspective. So usually it is a little bit of a lag. Definitely one of the downsides to us being able to, I guess, be a little bit more agile in those optimizations.
Great. So that's all the time we have for questions. Thank you, Gina.